First of all, I made a strategic move,
Yes.
which was to pile pressure on the legislators by highlighting what I challenged. And at least, and I think from the report I've read, they have considered to about 60% of my petition.
Okay.
There have been changes here and there. But I did that with the intention of, because I moved on very, very, very broad issues. I just moved on the broad issues of the Constitution, the constitutionality of certain actions, like if a bill, if a law was enacted by both the Senate and the National Assembly because it concerns counties, how do you amend it through one house? For example, of betting. The Betting Act was enacted by both houses. When you look at the Employment Act, it was enacted by both houses. When you look at the housing thing, it was enacted by both. So those are the kind of broad areas I moved. The Statutory Instruments Act was enacted by both houses. So broadly, I did broadly around those things. And most of them, as I've seen, there were concessions that were proposed in the report. Now, we were supposed to go to court today. We were told the judge did not sit, and she's not available for 2 weeks. And then after the second week, she's proceeding on leave until August. And then in August, we have got a recess until September. Right. So we are going back. So from the lobby, the pressure I put, we are going back to the DR on Thursday to see if they will accept to move the case to another judge. If not, then you have to wait until that. But the strategy was that we file this, see how we can achieve, then now amend it when they have now passed the bill. But it's a prior consultative order we are looking for that. If after Parliament does whatever it does, the bill should not be sent to the President for assent until our application or the petition is heard. So it's still live in terms of the case. And tomorrow we wait and see what happens.
Showdown.
Do you see a showdown?
Maybe a shouting match, not so much a showdown. Because we introduced a concept here called the tyranny of numbers. So most likely they have numbers and they're going to pass whatever they will pass. I even see those amendments that have been proposed being thrown out, most of them.
Theuri, when you hear what he's explaining, he had a strategy. It was meant to be mentioned today.
Yes.
It didn't happen. Tunapelekwa in circles. Is the game on right now? What's happening? How do you see it pan out?
Wow, it's going to be interesting. One thing for sure. The courts were unlikely to intervene until after the Finance Act has been passed, so that it's very clear on what has been made into law and what has not. Of course, it's unfortunate when this kind of things happen in the judiciary, that such serious cases can be frustrated by quorum hitches. I think you would want to imagine that understanding the gravity of the case that is before the court, if for one reason or the other the judge is not validly available, or that arrangements should then be made prior, because these things are not emergencies. If you know you are not going to be there, and maybe on the day of the mention, the proper and prudent thing is to invite the parties to come before you earlier, so that you can tell them exactly the predicament that you're facing, and give directions accordingly, or consult with the presiding judge and that sort of thing. So when you see these kind of things, then you begin to worry about the games that can be played, and it would not be far-fetched then to imagine that perhaps this is just part of of a scheme that is intended to ensure that through default, the case cannot be heard. And you see, there is usually this concept of this case is being heard by so and so, so it cannot be moved elsewhere. So you'll have to wait until the other time. But I hope that that is not going to happen in this particular instance. But be that as it may, I'm almost 100% sure that there'll be other people who will challenge the finance bill.
Yes. Speaking of which, challenge it. Where's LSK sitting on this? Mtu anaweza sema munaangalia tu Omtatah ki.
We are definitely waiting to see what comes out of Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah, we did make a presentation.
Yes.
And submitted a memorandum. We looked at the report. Of course, they did consider some of the issues which we raised. Some are still retained in the finance bill. So we are waiting. We are preparing as we wait to see what they are going to come up with. If they do come up with things which we have objected to, then we will be definitely. That's a definite. We'll be
Omtatah kuna support
filing
coming your
something
way.
in court.
Yeah. LSK, we always fight on the same side.
Yeah.